Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Reverend Matt and I'm the Connectionalist. Have you ever been to another religion's worship service? I have, in part, I've been to mosque, I've been to synagogue before. I've even spent an entire day with Buddhist monks when I was in college. I was studying religion, and it was always really interesting. And I'm sure when he gets to that, I'm going to share my story of being with the Buddhist monks because I think it'll be fun. So hang around for that. Our good friend Evan Raugust has done a video today called "I Went to Every Religion's Place of Worship," and I'm excited to watch this video. I love Evan; he does such a great job. He's really become a friend of the channel, and I really appreciate the work that he does educating people on Christianity and world religions and just life in general. I think he does a really good job, and he has a lot of joy in his heart while he does that. So I really appreciate that. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in.
I went to every major religion's place of worship to find out what makes each one unique. I started with a Jewish synagogue, and I expected it to look something like this.
Sure.
But instead, I found this modern space with rows of seats, a podium.
Yeah, because I mean, you're looking at, you're either Orthodox Jew or you're a Reformed Jew. And so the Orthodox Judaism and Reformed Judaism, they're going to look very different because they have different... they have a different angle and a different perspective on their faith, right? So you're going to see, this looks like a Reformed synagogue to me, a little bit more modern looking, but I don't know. It's hard to know.
Podium and an ark in the front, which I later learned was holding the Torah. The rabbi or the religious leader was a woman, and she led the service like...
It's Reformed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I'm pretty sure in Orthodox Judaism, women cannot serve as rabbis. I'm pretty sure that's only Reformed Judaism. So I'm pretty sure this is Reformed. I could be totally wrong though, so let me know in the comments. That's the way you participate, and that's how we learn together. So let me know.
Like a spiritual guide, inviting us to slow down and breathe and give our praises to God. And so after talking to the rabbi, the people here, and doing some more research, here's 5 more things I learned about Judaism. They popularized this idea of one God.
Yeah, monotheism.
Before Judaism...
Yeah, monotheism, very unpopular and not done in the ancient world. And so Judaism can really be held responsible for the idea of monotheism and its emergence in the ancient Near East. So
most cultures had a god for everything.
Right.
A sun god, a rain god, a harvest god. But Judaism said, nope, there's one God, indivisible and infinite. This is a Reformed Judaism synagogue. Just
It's
one
Reformed.
branch of Judaism, and the first of 5 religions I'm covering. It's more about doing than just believing. God gave the Jewish people the Torah. Remember that from earlier?
when we talk about religions in doing versus believing, orthodoxic religions place a higher emphasis on believing, right? And then there's orthopraxic religions, which place a higher emphasis on not necessarily the beliefs, but the practices. I still think Judaism is an orthodoxic religion. Belief is very important. And both belief and practice are important in basically almost every religion, but there's definitely tends to be an emphasis. So
Here, these are the first 5 books.
by the way, orthodox meaning right belief, orthopraxic, ortho meaning right, praxic meaning practice.
Books of the Christian Old Testament. And these are full of commandments and stories about how they should live. The Hebrew prophets, people like Noah, Moses, they would constantly say things like do justice, love others, and walk humbly with God. Their holy days start Friday evening, unlike Christianity,
Shabbat.
whose Sabbath day is on Sunday. For Jews, it actually starts Friday in the evening at sundown.
And that was an early thing that took a while to work out when Christianity moved from being a Jewish sect into its own religion. That was one of the first things that shifted.
And so for some sects of Judaism, the candles are lit, bread comes out, wine is poured, and everything stops. No errands, no emails, no grind, just rest, God, and family. I feel like I could low-key use that.
Yeah, really important. The practice of Sabbath is so important, and it's so neglected in Christianity, especially in the United States, to the point where it's really almost sinful. The neglect becomes sinful for many of us.
Is essential. Judaism is built on people sticking together. There are some specific prayers that require 10 adults to be praying together. And during the service, I noticed that when someone was sick, their name was read publicly, so everyone could pray for them.
Which is
kind of
true
felt
in
like one
church.
big
You see that
happy
in church,
family.
Christian
Arguing is important. From my perspective, Jews love to argue, not in a mean way, but in a way that's meant to make you smarter. Studying the Torah is often done in pairs.
Intellectualism is a high value in Judaism, which is a good thing.
Where you're supposed to debate, challenge, and wrestle with the text. There's a joke that if you put 2 Jews in a room, you get 3 opinions. But one thing I respected is that when they're done arguing, they eat and pray together like nothing happened. But it also left me wondering, if this is the faith that introduced the world to one God, why do other religions see God and even reality itself so differently? Which is exactly what I saw next when I went to a Hindu temple. Respectfully, this was the craziest room I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, there's, between all the gods and the avatars, there's millions of gods and avatars in Hinduism. Hinduism is, it's hard to call Hinduism Hinduism. My understanding from my education in world religions in college is that Hinduism is really the name that the British Empire gave a collection of faith practices in India, right? And it's not so much this like united faith as much as it is like a collection of cultural religious practices, because it varies in its practice widely, Hinduism. And the name, they kind of lumped, the British Empire, when they did colonialism, basically, kind of lumped all of it together and called it Hinduism. And I can't remember the reason. It may have been because of the Indus River. They may have called it Hinduism. Let me know in the comments. We answered our own question in the comments, but let me know if that's why they named it that. But I think that's right. But that was my sense from my education, is that the British Empire just kind of lumped all the practices of religious practices of India together into one pot and called it Hinduism.
There were statues everywhere. Bells are ringing, music playing, flowers all over the place. And after talking to Hindu religious leaders and even Hindu monks, I learned that it isn't one single unified religion. Rather, it's...
See, guys, this is why you watch the channel, because what I do is I react to videos and then I end up saying... Oops, sorry, excuse me, I just burped. I end up saying the thing that he's going to say anyway. So, yeah.
More like a spiritual umbrella of many sects and schools of thought underneath it. Yep. Some focus on one supreme god, like Vishnu or Shiva. Some emphasize different deities as expressions of the divine. Others are more philosophical and barely use images at all. But here's 5 other interesting things about it. It's one of the oldest religions still around.
Absolutely.
Historians place
I think it is the oldest religion. I'm pretty sure about that.
It around 4,000 years old, which means that it's had a lot of time to develop its ideas. There's not really one single founder, not one holy book, but I do have one of their most important. In addition to this, there's also a library's worth of scriptures. One of their most important principles is this idea of dharma. This is your personal duty in life. Everyone has one, whether you're a teacher, a cop, or even a silly YouTuber. We've all got a purpose. And following it is what sustains the world and keeps everything in balance. Ahimsa is the highest duty. They strongly emphasize this principle of nonviolence. But this isn't just don't hit people. It's about not even thinking violent thoughts. Gandhi once called this the highest expression of Hinduism.
Of course, Gandhi famous for hunger striking and speaking out against the British Empire.
This is why
and its colonial occupation of India.
So many Hindus are vegetarian. They don't want to harm animals. Some traditions take it so far, they won't even eat potatoes because you have to uproot them from the ground.
Yeah, there's a religion called Jainism where like they have these little brooms and they will sweep the ground in front of them so they don't step on bugs. That's how like they take that to such an extreme that they like won't pluck a leaf off a tree. So there's some of them that are so extreme they won't pick like fruit off trees to eat. You have to like wait till it falls off. There's some pretty extreme. That's not everybody, but there's some pretty extreme ends of that. And Jainism is very fascinating. I remember studying that in school.
Which makes me kind of guilty for eating French fries. They see the divine in everything, in you, and me, and animals, and even in this Duolingo plushie. I don't know if it's a good idea to call Duolingo God. And this is why there's
probably not. I love Duolingo, by the way. I'm not sponsored by them, but you should try it out. It's a really good way to learn language. I'm learning Latin on there right now.
So many different gods.
There's also an app called Biblingo where you can learn Koine Greek, which is the language of the New Testament. And that's been really fun too.
Gods or goddesses, because they're all considered different avatars or expressions of God. They're not really about conversion. Unlike Christianity or Islam, which we're going to cover, Hinduism doesn't really focus on converting people. This is because most Hindus see religion as a personal path. There's a sense that you can find God in multiple ways. Just when I thought I'd seen it all, I went to a Muslim mosque. And I was surprised by how simple it was. There's no stained glass windows, just a big open room with a carpet, and a space at the front where the imam or the religious leader leads prayer. It felt peaceful, almost like the whole building was saying, slow down, relax. Everyone took their shoes off, lined up shoulder to shoulder, and prayed together. And after talking to an imam and other Muslims, here's 5 interesting things I learned.
Yeah, Islam's interesting. When I was in college, I helped put together an interfaith prayer room so that different religions could pray. It was a project I worked on when I was in student government, and I remember learning about like the foot washing and like the hand washing, like the special sinks and the way it's all done in Islam, the washing, the ritual washing and stuff. It's really really interesting.
Discipline is everything. The very first word revealed in Islam was read, which already tells you something about the faith's emphasis on knowledge and order. Muslims pray 5 times a day, every single day, no matter where they are. Before each prayer, they do wudu, washing their hands, face, and feet.
Yep.
Muhammad.
Yep. That was the
their whole.
That was the what I worked on with Muslim students was to get the proper sinks and stuff for that.
Holiest prophet said cleanliness is half the faith. It's built on 5 pillars. You must declare that there is no God except Allah, and Muhammad was his messenger.
Right. Yeah, and one of them is pilgrimage, which is the Hajj, Hajj, I think. One of them is, here, I'm going to do my quiz. One of them is the giving of alms, like giving to the poor, giving to alms, declaring God is, there's no other God, and Muhammad is prophet. That's 3. I can't remember what the other 2 are. The 5 times prayer daily, I think that's one of the pillars. I can't remember what it's called. The Arabic word is, but that's 4 of the 5, I think.
Must pray 5 times a day facing
5 times a
Mecca,
day.
which is their holiest
Facing
site.
Mecca,
You must give a portion of your wealth to the poor.
The alms, nailed it.
You must fast during Ramadan.
Fast during Ramadan, that's the one I forgot. Thank you.
And you've got to make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in your life if you're able. Islam.
That's called the Hajj. I'm surprised I remember some of this stuff from my world religions course, which was like 15 years ago. I was a freshman in college. I did a lot of interfaith work, though, in college, so I engaged a lot of this stuff.
Islam tries to make everyone equal. Muhammad once said, no white is superior to black, and no black is superior to white, except by piety. The Quran, their holy book, is central and is often memorized.
Yeah.
And it isn't just a holy book you read once. It's something Muslims recite daily. Some even memorize the whole thing word for word. It changes a lot of things about your life. It changes how you eat, how you greet people, how you give to the poor, how you pursue justice, and even how you think about community. It also offers a clear picture of the future. Muslims explain that God will one day judge every person, rewarding those who live righteously and punishing those who disobeyed. And central to it all was this idea that Jesus was a prophet and Messiah, but not divine as Christians understand it.
Yeah, that's the main difference, that Jesus is a very important teacher and prophet in Islam, but not the Son of God, not divine. That's one of the main differences.
And also that he didn't die on the cross.
Right.
More on Christianity later. But another large religion is Buddhism. When I first walked into a Buddhist temple.
All right, I'll tell you my story. I promised I would. So when I was in my world religions course at school, we went to the Buddhamine monastery, and I hung out with the monks. And it was a really interesting day. One of the things they had us do was we were digging a trail. They had like a meditation path, walking trail, and they wanted us to help dig it. Guys, if you dig a hole, it's like, it's kind of, it's easy in a sense of like, you know what you're doing. You're digging deeper. Digging a trail is like very meticulous because you have to just get right under the surface, then pull it up and then do the next thing. It's like harder in some ways to dig a trail. And it was hot. It was like early September. It was hot. Oh man, I remember that. And then they fed us, and I eat a lot of veggies now. I'm much more comfortable with veggies, but 15 years ago when I was 18, I was still kind of like I didn't have as wide of a palate, and they're vegetarian. So they fed us veggies, and some of them were good, but I didn't finish it. But in Buddhism, you don't waste anything. It's an aesthetic religion, meaning going without, self-denial, right? And so they don't waste anything. And I had like 2 little like soybeans at the bottom of my bowl, and I remember one of the nuns, or I think they call them nuns in Buddhism, monks and nuns. I think so. I think that's the verbiage they used with us, and maybe that's not what they call them. Maybe that's just what they call it to, like, Westerners and English-speaking people, so that we can understand it better. Most of the people at the monastery were Asian, not all. There was a guy named Alan from where I live, and he was there too. I remember his name, but we. One of the women looks at me and she goes, "No, you must finish. Like you have to finish." She like gave me my bowl back, and I like ate them. But it was a really, really interesting experience, and I think it's important to like. And then they did like one of their meditation things with us, and it was super interesting. And I think one of the benefits of that is helps you understand it's like, man, millions, hundreds of millions of people practice this faith in the world every day. And not many of them are in the United States, but it helps you give a sense of what's going on in other places in the world.
I was super surprised. I expected to see monks in robes, but instead I just saw regular people wearing t-shirts, leading the whole thing. There was a statue behind him, which I later learned was Buddha. And while there are different sects of Buddhism, generally speaking, it seems...
Yeah, you got Mahayana Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism. And here we go. So we're going to do the game where I say what I think it is and then see if Evan backs it up and I'm correct. Or if not, you got to correct me in the comments. Here's the game. I'm pretty sure... I can't remember which one it is. One of them is like the Buddha is kind of like not a divine, but like much more elevated almost to a divine position. And then the other one is where Buddha is just like not that way. I think it's Siddhartha Gautama is the name traditionally associated with the Buddha. So let's see. I think it's Mahayana and Theravada Buddhism. And then there's Zen Buddhism as well, which is like a whole different thing.
Is less as worshiping a god and more about your own transformation.
Yeah, it's an orthopraxic religion. Buddhism is orthopraxic, so it's more focusing on not necessarily beliefs as much as the right practices.
After talking to practitioners, attending this temple, and trying to meditate and failing badly, here's 5 more cool things I learned. Buddhism began in the 6th century BC with this prince who had literally everything.
Siddhartha Gautama.
Palaces, wealth, privilege. Until he snuck out one day and saw a sick man, an old man, and a wandering monk. And this hit him like a truck. He had never seen so much suffering in his life. And he was disgusted by the amount of wealth and comfort he had in his own life. And so he ditched a palace life, shaved his head, and went full minimalist. And he sat under this tree, meditating until he reached enlightenment. And that's when he became the Buddha, the awakened one. To them, the problem is desire. At the heart of Buddhism are 4 noble truths. Life is suffering. Suffering.
I think there's the 4 noble truths and then the Eightfold Path. I think it's called the Eightfold Path.
Is caused by desire. You can end suffering by letting go of those cravings and
they call suffering dukkha. Dukkha, I think, is the word they use for suffering.
Following the Eightfold Path. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, the Eightfold Path. See, I nailed it. Did it again.
I can resonate with that. More on this Eightfold Path. It's basically your life manual and helps you understand better your actions, your livelihood. And it's less about being right in a judgmental sense, but more about living in a way that leads to peace. It's like Buddha's version of a to-do list. Except the goal isn't productivity, it's inner freedom. Meditation is the centerpiece. Buddhists don't just talk about mindfulness, they practice it regularly. They do breathing meditations, walking meditations. And it's all about...
Incredibly difficult for me when we went there because I'm just not a contemplative by nature. And so, very difficult. I would not be a good Buddhist. I can tell you that.
Sitting still and watching your thoughts pass by like clouds. The goal is to escape the cycle. Right. Buddhism teaches this endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Yeah,
reincarnation, and the goal is to reach... I think it's nirvana. Yeah, nirvana in Buddhism, which is basically to cease to exist. That's one of the reasons I struggle with Buddhism is kind of the goal is to cease the dukkha cycle, the suffering cycle, by ceasing to exist altogether. If I remember correctly, that's the understanding I have of it.
Birth. And the ultimate goal is nirvana, which isn't exactly heaven, but rather the extinguishing of craving.
Right, the extinguishing of craving, like the cessation of existence, the returning to the universe.
The kind of perfect peace where you're no longer stuck in the loop.
You're not stuck in the dukkha cycle anymore, the suffering cycle.
No more Mondays, no more bills, no more getting stuck behind slow drivers on the highway. I wonder where that came from. What stood out to me was how simple and focused it was. But it left me with a question. Is the whole point of life to stop wanting altogether?
Yeah, it's so lacking in hope, I think, which is my main issue with Buddhism.
Or to find something or someone worth wanting most. This question set the stage for our next religion, Christianity. Full disclosure, I'm Christian, and famously I've gone to all these different churches. Yeah. But I want to look at Christianity with fresh eyes, covering in the same unbiased and fair manner I did with these other religions. And so remember that question we asked in the synagogue about who God actually was? Well, Christianity answers that by saying that God became man. Like literally. And for Christians, Jesus wasn't just some good teacher or philosopher or some inspirational quotes. Instead, Christians believe he is literally God in the flesh. So here's 5 cool things about Christianity. It's all about Jesus. Christianity is centered on a person, Jesus of Nazareth. He was a carpenter who became a traveling teacher.
I think we're all
apparently a guy you'd want at your party because he turned water into wine.
It's true.
He healed the sick, cast out demons, and taught about the kingdom of God. Then he was crucified. and 3 days later, his followers proclaimed he had risen from the dead. God is personal and triune. Christians believe God is deeply involved with his creation, so much so that he entered into it. Christianity also teaches that God is a person and 3 separate beings: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a mystery called the Trinity. Salvation is a gift. Christianity teaches that no one can earn their way to God by good behavior or sheer effort. Humanity is broken by sin,
most of us understand.
but Jesus' death and resurrection open the way to reconciliation with God. Salvation is received by grace through faith, and Christians believe it transforms the way you live. It's not just fire insurance, it's the start of a new life. Church is a family, not just a building. From the start, Christians gathered together. And even today, whether it's a cathedral or a church with coffee and guitars, the core activities are the same: prayer, scripture, worship, and the sacraments. Communion, or the Eucharist, is a central practice in most denominations of Christianity, which is the regular participation of Jesus' death and resurrection. Baptism is the entry point into the Christian life, marking the believer's union with Christ and the beginning of a new way of living. Christianity has shaped the world because Christians pioneered some of the world's most famous hospitals, universities, and some of the greatest architecture known to man. And its message of equality, that in Christ there is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, was radical in the first century and still challenges society today. While I respect all religions, this is why it's not enough to just to say all religions are the same. They're not.
No,
while they do have some similarities, they're all giving different answers to life's biggest questions. Who is God? Why are we here? What happens when we die? And those answers aren't just trivia, they're everything.
Yeah, I think Evan does a good job. Great job, Evan, yet again. I think that's kind of a thing at the end is like, yeah, the kind of the all paths lead to the same God thing is not really true because, well, it's not, you can make a higher, more philosophical argument why it's not true. But I think from like a base level, it's like, just look how different the faiths are, right? They're teaching completely different concepts. Now, are there concepts that the faiths share? All the faiths share? Sure, there's some universal concepts in there, but they're very, very, very different. So great job, Evan, outlining this. As always, make sure you go drop a like and subscribe to Evan. He does such a great job. And if you like my commentary today, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel as well. It's the best thing you can do to help a young growing channel like mine. But I'm River Matt, and I'm the Connectionalist. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.